incredible. Guys, I'm so excited. Like, this is for me, my happy place. Anything to do with water, nature, and just like the absence of humankind is my happy place. I also realized that I didn't actually bring fresh underwear, so if I get wet, which I probably will, and on top of that, if I go for a swim, which I also probably will, I don't have underwear. But this girl much prefers to enjoy her life than to not go for a swim. Like, come on, I came all this way to not go for a swim. I watched a video about a guy who said, like, you know, sometimes you just need that one-day adventure. You don't need to invest thousands on like a dream trip to feel like you've explored the world. Sometimes it's just like a one-day thing, and I want to do that more often. I always come up with the excuses like, oh, I would rather do something like lazy and easy and like rest instead of actually going out into the world. The water's cold. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to talk about my life and how it's going. I've been spending quite a long time by myself, which you guys obviously, which a lot of you guys know. Yeah, so I'm currently unemployed, and this has been like a process/journey for me, to be honest, and it's hard. It's hard because you have to be in a very specific mind, a specific way of thinking in order for you to really be able to take most advantage of your unemployment. Like, you have, for the first time in a long time, full control of your life. If you've never had like a gap year, if you've never been like unemployed, like this might be your first time. And you need to figure out what it is that you want to do with your time and what it brings for you. I'm home alone all day. It's quiet, and I can either like waste my time watching a bunch of stuff that won't bring anything at the end of the day, or I can do something productive. I'm currently like battling with like too many things that I have to do/want to do. At the moment, I have to take 2 exams that I have been quite good at, like keeping up and studying, etc. Yeah, I'm honestly finding it a little bit hard. I feel like have made little progress. I feel not very confident for both of my exams. Yeah, so that's not helpful. That's not helpful, not feeling confident after you've been really trying your best for about a month now to learn, to study, and I see very little progress, and I just don't understand what I'm doing wrong. At this point, I'm really kind of questioning, like, is what I'm doing worth it? I'm kind of stressing, like, am I wasting my time? Am I not being effective enough, etc.? So yeah, that's been a little bit difficult. I've been reading more about like productivity, how to drive your career. Like, I have no clue what my next steps are going to look like. I can either work in project management like explicitly, but I'm also very interested in entrepreneurship. Woo! Unfortunately, I did not bring a plastic bag with me to put all my wet clothes in. So yeah, I'm very unprepared for this little trip. I forgot my sunglasses up there. I did not bring a plastic bag to put wet stuff in. I did not bring my underwear. Like, you know, live, laugh, love, right? So what do you do with so much free time? Well, first of all, get certain things out of your way that you have been like postponing for a long time, like days, weeks, months, if not years, which has definitely been the case for my driving license. But it's also very difficult. Like you have to like motivate yourself. Like money is no longer a factor here. So it's not like, okay, well, I'm gonna work for the money or I'm gonna do this for the money. No, like I have to really push myself and have that, quote unquote, like self-discipline. So, I mean, I spend a lot of time trying to understand myself. I do sit in silence and just think. Sometimes I just need silence. And it's interesting, spending so much time by myself. I do spend more time in silence, obviously. And now when I like go out, if there's like even a group of 10 people, I'm overstimulated. I am in this quiet little box that I call my home for about 8 to 10 hours a day, like awake. And then like leaving the house, I'm like, oh my God, I'm overstimulated, which has been an interesting experience to say the least. So getting to know yourself, experimenting with certain things, like there are certain, bucket list things that I've been wanting to do for years now, and I'm finally getting around to. One of them is to work on social media and to do like a little podcast, and this is like what I've come up with. A little talking session in the middle of nature, That's pretty cool, no? This is also quite unstructured, so in the future I hope to have more structured podcast stuff. Going back to what do you do with your time? Well, actually I'm getting back on track with my fitness, which has been severely neglected the past 3 to 4 months, which obviously did not help my mental health. But I spend quite a lot of time exercising. I think that you need to spend a regular amount exercising when you are unemployed, because otherwise, at least for me, my anxiety takes over my body. And also finding a place or a community, if that's in sport or if that's some arts and craft stuff or some other thing, that's also fine. But finding people to talk to, like, you don't have to talk to them every day. It doesn't have to be all day, but for a couple hours, like try and leave the house at least once. At least for me, like it has become CrossFit, at least the place that I went to, I've heard a lot of good things about it, especially through one specific friend. One of the strong suits of this specific CrossFit is that it has a very supportive community. But I do feel like I have a lot on my plate. A lot of the projects that I'm doing right now are things that you will see the reward in the future. I'm not going to see an immediate reward. And that can be a little bit difficult in terms of motivation, because A, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, and B, like when I do these exams, I'm not gonna find out until I've done them. Yeah. And also like looking for a job, it's hard. I did kind of severely underestimate the amount of time and effort this would require, because the first internship that I got within 2 weeks. And now it's been like a month since I have not been working. Although I am working on several other things that are things, like I'm investing my time and effort at the moment for things that I will see results in the future. I still expect myself to get a job within 2 weeks, which has not been successful. Like when you spend this much time alone and like you're in the same spot, as in like you're not traveling, you need to build a solid routine. You need to eat well, you need to exercise in order to feel comfortable within your body. And because you spend a lot of time by yourself, well, at least this is all my case, because I spend so much time by myself, I have to have enough self-esteem to like be confident in myself. And it's been interesting to see that I've actually handled that quite well. I haven't had like a breakdown. Like historically speaking, I have not had the highest of self-esteem growing up. I have been quite insecure in myself, which I think is the case for many people. I know literally a handful of people who have been quite secure for the majority of their lifetime in terms of their body, their personality, etc. For me, it's something that I had to work on intentionally. And I am seeing now that I am actually quite confident in myself and I'm quite motivated, which is really nice to see. Another thing is community, social isolation. It's good to know how to be by yourself and enjoy your alone time, but it's also quite dangerous to be socially isolated because that also doesn't help with your self-esteem. And also it doesn't help with like your emotional state. I was watching a quick TED talk on like social isolations and the impact it has. And the speaker or the guy who was talking, this was like an animated TED talk. It wasn't like a full-on TED talk audience kind of thing. He was saying the reason we need social interaction is to kind of validate our reality. And I think that's kind of true. Like, let's say you are feeling really sad lately. Like, how are you going to validate this? Social media, which is a whole other topic, by the way, that I'll talk about. Like you're like, okay, well, I feel kind of sad. Does everyone, like, is this just me? Is this other people? Like, go and talk to other people and see, like, maybe they're sad too. Maybe the weather has been shit, or maybe like the increasing prices has been stressing everyone out. Like, it's not just you. So just to like check in and see, the way that I'm feeling is valid, the reality that I live in is valid. Don't go to social media to validate your emotions or your experience, because you're interacting with something that is overly simplified of your context. Like, at least your friends can kind of see, and if they're good friends, I hope that you have good friends around. They can kind of see your reality. It's not exactly their reality because they're not you, but they have an insight of what life you're experiencing, what's going on in your life, and they can really validate certain things. And obviously, like, everyone has different experiences, but maybe you're experiencing something that, one of your friends had already experienced before. And that's why social interaction is super important for your mental health, and that's why community is super important for your mental health when you are unemployed. Social media is like a whole other thing I want to talk about. I want to post, like, as a personal thing, as a personal goal, I want to post more on social media in terms of meaningful content, not just like pictures of myself, but like meaningful content like this one. I like podcast stuff, personal adventures, reflections. I just want to share that with the world. On the other hand, I have significantly reduced the content that I consume. I have gotten an app blocker for my phone because I realized that, when I would feel the slightest amount of stress, I would start scrolling, and that would be obviously not helpful. I would really just end up feeling like shit. And I was listening to a podcast today called The Florence Given Show. She had social media. I didn't follow her prior to her podcast on Spotify, but since I came across her podcast, I listened to her stuff religiously. If anybody is feeling low or needs like a boost, like girl to girl, go watch The Florence Given Show. But her last podcast, she was talking about how she took a 10-day fast from social media, meaning she didn't use it whatsoever. Like, she's also in the same position where she wants to put herself out there, she wants to post like content and stuff, but herself not consume content. No, I'm not saying not consume any content, but to kind of have it more regulated. And I'm on the same boat. And I was also just thinking, like, we are adding content, so encouraging people to use these platforms, but we ourselves don't use this platform. I don't know how I personally feel about this. Is not a criticism towards her, it's just a self-reflection. I was like, yeah, I want to reduce my content consumption, but I also just want to post more. Like, I want to add to the content. I don't think it's bad. I think the problem with social media is just the way that people want to be perceived and the way that they want to present themselves, which, if it's done in a toxic manner, is not great. And on top of that, we have a bunch of like AI slop, which is not helpful. So I don't know, maybe I'm making the world a little bit better with my meaningful content and just kind of recording my life and putting it out there. recently I've just kind of been like realizing how much social media impacts me. You know, before I was unemployed, you know, I would be like, okay, I'm stressed because this is not turning out right. I'm stressed because I couldn't figure something out at work. I am stressed because of this. I'm stressed because I have an exam coming up. So you would come to the conclusion that the origins of your stress comes from something else, you know? But you don't really notice how much social media enhances that feeling. Like, by spending time on social media, you literally don't give yourself the time to regulate yourself. And I think that's a huge issue. Like, social media is just so easy to use. It's so easy to consume content. It's so easy to find something funny to brighten your day up. But at the end of the day, like, if you're feeling some kind of strong emotion, or if you're struggling like with your mental health, I can understand that social media and having some background noise all the time can help you not feel those feelings in that moment. Those feelings in that moment might be overwhelming, but all it does is just postponing that feeling and just building it up. Like, when I was really anxious, any moment that I wasn't actively working on something or doing something, I was watching something, I was consuming something. And even to fall asleep, I had to put something on. I had to put some podcasts, you know, like I'm consuming just to keep the noise going. And like, I know some people listen to like white noise, brown noise, blue noise, like different noises. I don't know if like that's different, but for me, I needed any moment. I just could not sit with my thoughts. So that's like an interesting test. Can you sit down for 5, 10, 15 minutes without any stimulation? If you can't, then maybe that's something that, you know, you should take a little bit more care of. Something you should maybe explore a little bit more of, like, hey, why can't I sit down in the silence for a couple of minutes? Like, why am I struggling to do that? Why does the silence make me anxious? I think like everyone has had like this friend or partner or whatever who is toxic, and you just have never realized that this person in your life is super toxic and horrendous to have around, because it's the norm. And I think that's the case for us, is that we just grew up with social media and just technology around us all the time, that we don't know how to exist without it, which is a given. But like, look at how much you're relying on tech, including me. I've been so good about not, like, I use tech to study, to do work, etc., to look for a job. But in terms of scrolling, I do a lot less of it. And that stresses me out less. And it's all like these thoughts that you don't realize are coming into your mind. You don't actually notice what of an impact it is. Going back to the toxic friend partner that you didn't realize was toxic until like years later. It's like, well, that's your norm, right? And no one's challenging it, you know, because no one around you probably is super nomadic and disconnected. So for everyone, it's like normal to have this one friend, this one partner that is super toxic, until you start learning without it. And I feel like I'm learning to live without it. So yeah, if you're unemployed, get yourself an app blocker. And you don't have to, or like get yourself, apparently there's this thing called a brick. I know it's very popular in the US. I don't know if it's popular in Europe or if it's even sold in Europe. But just disconnect. You need some kind of barrier, because trust me, or maybe you're some kind of person who has a superpower to disconnect and have like the self-discipline of not scrolling, which is great, by the way. I would love to meet you. But trust me, you're not going to stop yourself. You need either a physical object, or you need another app to block all your other apps and set a timer. and make it just a little bit harder for you to be able to access, or just impossible if you get some paid plans. There's some apps that, regardless of what the situation is, there is absolutely no way that you can unblock those apps for a certain amount of hours. When you start, maybe have just a reduced access, and then if you feel the need, or if you feel more comfortable, reduce it even more. But yeah, don't use social media. Social media sucks. And here I am posting on social media. It's very interesting. Like, this is the exact shot that I wanted. If I got it, by the way. I hope I'm in frame, because I'm looking at my camera at the moment and I'm not sure if I'm in it. Can you imagine? It feels great to have this day trip, but just having like these random little adventures where you go outside of what your norm is can do so much for you. For me, I become so happy because I feel like I've had, an adventure. What you usually like see on social media, like, go and do it yourself, you know? I love this like kind of isolation. I love this kind of like one with nature where it's just like wildness. I'm not gonna say it's untouched by humans, because I do see some areas that have been a little bit more flattened by something, but like these rocks have been completely shaped by water, which is insane. Woo! I think by hiking by myself, like, you're forced to sit with your thoughts, and on top of that, like, I don't listen to music when I hike, because in a very stupid way, lost my expensive and my favorite headphones of all time, which I really enjoyed, but they're way too expensive to buy again in this point in my life as an unemployed person. And also, so I'm not gonna get like wireless headphones, and I'm not gonna buy some 30 € wireless headphones, because I'm gonna be like, after listening to music at such a high quality, I can't go back. I would rather not listen to music than to listen through some shitty pair of earphones. Another issue is that the charging spot for my iPhone is very sensitive, meaning that when I charge, and this is also going to be the same thing if I were to get wired like headphones, is that I have to hold the phone or the charger at a specific angle, because otherwise it doesn't work. And there's no way I am going to spend some money on some headphones that I'm going to absolutely hate using, because it's always going to interrupt my music, and that is going to absolutely drive me crazy. So I am currently no music in terms of headphones. For me, my safe space, my absolute safe space, is water. I feel instant calm being around large bodies of water and being inside water in general. And although Barcelona Beach is great, it's just populated with people. And I think I've made myself pretty freaking clear that I very much value kind of this isolation and lack of influence of people or population of people, unless it's like local people, like explicitly local people who just naturally interact with that natural space. I love also being in that environment. You know, you feel it's an amazing feeling. I don't know what to tell you. Just being in nature, like, your mind gets cleared. Whatever like type of nature you're into, whether it's forests, rainforests, the ocean, like, you just need to somehow get to a place that brings you peace, and more often than not, it tends to be nature.